Let's explore inner peace. Happy New Year. No matter where, so depending on where you are on this spheroid rock we call the Earth, you may have already hit Happy New Year, or you may be approaching Happy New Year. But Happy New Year is both exciting and terrifying to a lot of people. We are frightened of change, and that's understandable. We evolved to be antsy. We evolved to live as if the world was out to get us. So our anxiety is part of our survival package. Pardon me. Due to genetic mutation and natural selection, we evolved a set of impulses that for a large part have kept the majority of our race alive, at least alive long enough to pass on their genetic material. So we are a race of Deputy Barney Fifes from the Andy Griffith Show. Like Courage the Cowardly Dog. Let us remember that peace is not an absence of circumstantial stressors or physical stressors or interpersonal stressors or mental stressors. Peace is not an absence of those things, but a taming of those things. And that is not supposed to be a play on words. Consider this. Let's pretend we were in the Neolithic era and we had just discovered civilization and we began planting crops. And then we woke up in the morning to find quadrupeds prancing about our crops, tearing it up. At first, we might pick up sticks and scream and make ourselves look big and try to chase off the quadrupeds. But eventually, our ancestors might have said, you know, these quadrupeds seem mellow. They don't seem like they're man-eaters. Let's see if we can make friends with them and put them to work. And then eventually they put bits in their mouth and bridles over the head, and they used reins and harnesses to attach them to farm equipment and plows and put them to work. And we can do something very similar with whatever we feel, with joy or lust or fear or despair or rage. With whatever we're feeling, we can harness that and use it in such a way to metaphorically turn the gears and wheels and shafts of the Enlightenment machine. There are two ways we can do that, two categories of mechanisms. The first category is by making lifestyle choices. And I go on about this a lot, and I apologize if it's boring, but we live in an interdependent world. Someone, a very good-hearted fellow, recently asked me about, what's it called? There's a fancy word for it. Dependent origination. And that's just a fancy pseudo-intellectual term, and he's not being pseudo-intellectual. It's a term that's been corrupted in Buddhism. Lots of people run around with big thesauruses and small penises, and they try to make themselves feel important by using unnecessarily large words. When I watch too much Star Trek, I start using unnecessarily large words too. It's just a contagious thing. Or if I watch too much Big Bang Theory, I start using polysyllabic words. So dependent origination is just a fancy way of saying things affect other things and things are affected by other things, directly or indirectly, subtly or overtly, immediately or eventually, actually or potentially, things are affected by other things. Speaking of sci-fi, if you dig astronomy like I dig astronomy, you know that eventually our beautiful orange sun will turn into a red giant and consume Earth like popcorn at a movie. It's just gonna, boom, we're gonna be swallowed up. We won't be alive when this happens. We're looking at billions of years in the future, but once again, interdependence. The sun becomes a red giant, Earth becomes a memory. So why am I going on about interdependence? Because the things we do have consequences. How much sleep we get, the quality of sleep we get, getting enough water, getting enough fresh air, getting enough sunshine, getting enough exercise. These things will affect our ability to process and cope with what Shakespeare referred to as the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. The big kahuna, the big guns, is our daily meditation. I recommend meditating for at least 5 minutes a pop. If you could do it once every 12 hours or so, you could make some progress. Now, I'm looking forward to giving you the specific nuts and bolts instructions after about 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Oopsie. I got ahead of myself. I've spent more than half my life full time studying and practicing the teachings, techniques, and practices of each school of Buddhism so that I could be the Yoda to your Luke Skywalker and help you to quickly and easily become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. We don't need prayers, we don't need chanting, but a lot of people feel comfortable with structure. Just like many sprinters want to hear a starting gun and see a finish line, lots of meditators want to begin and end with a little teeny chant, and that's fine. These chants are not prayers to real or imagined entities. These are just words we use to exercise our loving intention. That's all. So we're going to play with empathetic bodhicitta and enthusiastic refuge 2 times. The first time we're going to perform a literal recitation. We're going to set it to something I call a triplet chant. Here we go. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. So, these last 3 things are so useful that they've earned the metaphoric nickname of the 3 wish-fulfilling jewels. In our final opening recitation, which is more concise but also more figurative, we're going to refer to that. Now, this recitation is set to a bookend chant. Together, here we go. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. So I mentioned exercise. My 2 favorite forms of exercise are taking a brisk walk every morning right after I lead a live stream with earbuds while listening to a root text, a Buddhist text. Before lunch, I'd like to do some practice variations of geriatric step back squat thrusts, usually in front of a little teeny Buddha statue while performing this recitation. Do I do it superstitiously? No. I do it because it feels good and it's fun. For me, it's like the most blissful workout I can imagine with my clothes on. Ba-dum-bum. Okay, so we've talked about interdependence, we've talked about lifestyle choices, and now we will speak about meditation. We have ways to make you meditate, and they are not pleasant ways. Despite the fancy synonyms for meditation, it's actually very, very simple. Let's begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It has not evolved to support active concentration, but instead to support perception. Perception that is vulnerable and passive and visceral and even random, spontaneous, automatic even. And this is exemplified by the 12-syllable recitation, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. There's some people prancing about the countryside saying you're not supposed to have a monkey mind. Yeah, well, says who? Our mind, the antics of our mind, are an integral reason why we have survived. We evolved to have a playful mind that can see and hear and feel and taste and smell, smell and emote and intend and think and remember and imagine and the like. Now, what are we going to do with all this stuff? What are we going to do with all these things that are external and internal and physical and mental? These things that are pleasurable and painful and interesting and boring and glorious and sometimes grotesque. That's enter meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access the parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the lower lumbar region and the tippy top of the cervical region of the same spinal cord. Every time we exhale, we are wired for physical relaxation and mental release, as is explored in the 12-syllable recitation, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. And guys, that's just a figure of speech. Every time we physically relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn. It's just that simple. Happiness or peace is not the absence of terror or rage or despair or longing. It is the result of successfully working with all the stuff we notice. We're going to do that together as a team right now. Come together. Let us meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Let's take off the first of two training wheels and transition from the 12-syllable exercise to the 3-syllable version. As we inhale, we could silently and mentally recite, "Notice this." And as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite, "Relaxing." Oh my goodness. 30 years ago, there was a movie called Dragonheart. And no, it was more than that. It was like 40 years ago. I think it was called Dragon Slayer. And they said, it was one of those two movies, and they say when a dragon's that age, all they know is pain and rage. And guess what? That's what aging's like. Well, we go from just being the Adonises in our 20s to golems, to schmeagles in our 50s and 60s and 70s. Oh my. So as I sit here, I feel all sorts of sensations in my sinuses, in my throat, and my joints. So it's rather than push them away or indulge them, I put them to work. As I breathe in, I silently and mentally recite sensation. As I exhale, I silently and mentally recite relax. And the pain, the things I feel, whatever they are, begin to turn the metaphoric wheels and cranks of the meditation machine. Sometimes we don't feel a physical sensation, we feel an emotional sensation. That emotion can be pleasure, it could be sorrow, it could be fear, it could be rage, it could be longing, it could be delight. Whatever we feel, good or bad, pleasurable or painful, we can bring it into the path. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite emotion. As we exhale, you guessed it, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing. We can switch gears, take off the second training wheel, and switch gears to the 1-syllable versions of these exact same exercises. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. As we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the 1-syllable verb is. So we have to sometimes do mental gymnastics when we take three-syllable words and shrink them down to one syllable. For instance, we call physical sensations form and emotional sensations feel. We refer to recollection as then, and we refer to imagination as dream. I think it could be quite lovely if together as a team we chanted an excerpt from the Song of Enlightenment. Together. The unsurpassed king of all Dharma is realized by more Buddhas than the Ganges has grains of sand. This wish fulfilling true I have revealed. May all who accept it do the same. Let us not find fault with the ease and simplicity of noticing and releasing, for it is a mistake to confuse the arduous and the difficult with that which is truly effective. When you begin to notice ambient sounds, switch to hear ease. Let's chant. Look around, there is not a thing. There are no people, there are no Buddhas. All the worlds in the universe are like bubbles in the sea. All the sages and worthies are like mere lightning. There is nothing that we could perceive, emote, intend, reason, recall, or imagine that we could not release, as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. As if it was as fleeting as sea foam or a flash of lightning in a dark sky. Together, even if an iron wheel rolled across my skull, meditation, wisdom's light would still shine. The practice and then mastery of mindfulness and meditation in harmony with inhalation and exhalation is something that could be practiced anytime, anywhere. Though the sun turn cold and the moon turn warm, not even an army of demons can destroy the truth. When an elephant pulls are caught up a mountain, has anyone seen a mantis block its way? Nothing, no how, can impede the efficacy of awareness and release, vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. Let us seal this evening's practice with a bit of the old chanting, beginning with kind ethics and concluding with the 4 immeasurables. May all beings practice have kind communication, conduct, and calmness, for the spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel if you wish. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to tomorrow's morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.